All right, I'm just gonna get started because I know we're short on time. People have like things to go to. I'm going to just like kick it off, and then we'll go to the panelists. I'll kind of explain what we're doing, not exclusive, and then what we have planned for you today. So I didn't really write anything. I wanted this to come from the heart. Like, to put this thing on mute because I don't know if I'm getting ping. It's annoying. Do not disturb. Okay, disturb one. All right, so I don't want to go with like the vision, like you already have that on Instagram, but I'll just go to the idea why we're starting this, not exclusive. So I would usually go around, I'll meet new people and they will be like, oh, I wish I could do this thing, or I want to do this thing. And I'll be like, oh, one of my friends or somebody I know also wants to do this thing this person is saying. Or they'll be like, oh, I want to learn how to like, learn about real estate. I want to learn how to do investment. I want to learn how to like be a product manager. And I'll be like, oh, I actually know somebody that's actually a good subject matter expert at this. And I was like, what if there was a space to like connect these people together? And to be honest, I was also kind of tired of being the middleman, always connecting people. I was like, what if there was a space for this to happen organically, where people can experience, new activities together that brings us closer and we can get access to information together. So that's kind of how this started. And there's a thing I read, it was like, usually we always think it's our close friends that would help us like career-wise and in life, but that's usually not true. It's not because our friends are not good friends. It's just because people we're usually in our close circles with are in the same social economic class as us. They know the same information we usually do. So it's very important that we stretch our network to meet people outside of our just close friend group. And just, honestly, my career and life, I found that to be true. It's like who my friends connect me with, or like which my other like friends connects me with that know somebody that have usually helped me in my life, like or my friends helped me in my life. But like that's what usually helped a lot as well in my life. So that's why I'm creating this space where we can just have a space outside of our close friends, where we can have access to information and, experience new things together to grow as a community. And a big misconception people have about not exclusive as well, I'll keep this really short, is that people always ask me, oh, so does that mean I have to invite everybody to everything I do? Like, no, obviously there's going to be an exclusive space. There's going to be space where you want to do stuff with just your friends, with just a close amount of people. Not exclusive is just that, what if there was a space where everybody can be welcomed? Obviously, we can watch a movie with your close friends, but what if we can just go to the cinema together, just like see new people, or like instead of just like learning about like real estate by yourself on YouTube, what if there's somebody else that wants to learn and we can all do that together? And that's basically the idea behind Not Exclusive. So I hope you all will follow us on our Instagram page at Not Exclusive. So it's not underscore X underscore CLUSIV. I'm very excited. But let me tell you what we have planned for today. So obviously, as we start this is our soft launch event. I'm like, we have to start the year on a good note, right? And what does it take to start a year good and not just start, but finish good? And I did a lot of research on that. And it was basically like, you have to get your mind right. You have to get your physical fitness and body to be able to handle all the stress it takes. You have to also get your finances right. And you actually have to plan for it. So as you're building this community, I'm like, I want to start from a positive note where everybody here can feel empowered to get access to information and to actually come and experience these new things. So I've reached out to my network to see what are the subject matter experts I know on like getting your mind right, on like getting your physical fitness right, on like getting your finances right, and just how to plan for the year. And that's what we're doing here. Just like people starting this community that can help us grow. And that's what we're here for. So I'm going to kick it off. We're going to go in order like mind and like fitness and finances, and then we'll go to a planning event with AI, which I'm very excited for. So Bisola, I'm going to call on to you. Do you want to kick it off?
Yes, can you guys see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully, I'll get that going in a second. Why am I not seeing the button for it? Oh, never mind. Found it. Okay, can you guys see the screen? Let me know.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. Slideshow. Okay, guys, so I'm super excited to be with you this afternoon. My name is Abisola Adedeji. I am currently a candidate for the Master's in Science of Marriage and Family Therapy. It's really clinical psychotherapy with a concentration in marriage and family, meaning that the way I understand psychopathology is systemic. So I look at how your relationships affect the way you see yourself. I don't believe that you can
Sorry to
conceptualize
cut you.
you.
Like your screen
Huh?
keeps showing loading. It's no more showing on the screen.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see, let me see. Let me try again. Let's stop and see if we can do it again. Okay, is it better? I don't know why it's saying paused. Let me stop sharing.
All right, we have it. I think it's when you probably put it to like the.
I show, okay, maybe I should just keep it like this then. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. But yes, I am a systemic thinker. So I conceptualize mental health basically around the relationships you're in. Because I don't believe you can conceptualize who you are outside of the people that you know. So this is really cool because I think it's all related. So currently I work in both community mental health and private practice. Again, clinical psychotherapy, but I have specializations in systems theory, couple and marriage and family therapy, which is fun. I do a little bit of sex therapy there. And I work a lot with millennials and Gen Zs, particularly looking at, Black issues, first generation immigrant issues, and then I do a lot of inner child work. So when we're talking about getting our minds right, when I was planning for this presentation, I figure we all kind of know you probably should um regulate yourself. You probably should be getting enough sleep, but I feel like that's very corny and kind of cliche, and we all kind of know these things. So I wanted to kind of give something a little bit more advanced that you probably haven't heard about before. So anytime we want to kind of clear our minds, we have to reflect. And when you look at the definition of reflection, it's literally throwing back by a body or a surface of light, heat, sound, whatever, without absorbing it. It's serious thought or consideration. So the task in reflecting is literally to notice without judgment. And I find that, especially with a lot of my clients now, a lot of where we get stuck is because we're always focused on understanding, why am I doing this? Why am I thinking this? Why is this happening to me? We don't really take time to look at what is happening. So in reflection, you're basically going to use mindfulness practices, which is just noticing your thoughts, the sensations around you without immediately judging it as good or bad. So in doing this, a lot of times you're going to want to make sure you're calm. So that could be 4-count breathing, kind of pushing in air or taking the air in, holding it, pushing it out 4 times. You might want to meditate, or even body scan. And what I mean by that is, if you, like right now, for instance, if you're feeling tense, or maybe you're presenting after me or something and you're nervous, recognize where are you feeling that in your body. What am I feeling? Not necessarily why, but just what am I feeling? Is that anxiety? Is that stress? Is that fear? And I'm just noticing that without immediately judging it as good or bad. So it's understanding what versus why. And my pro tip is to really stay curious. Even as a therapist, we're always curious as to what's going on with our clients. So ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I most grateful for? I have a lot of questions right here that you can ask yourself. What brought me joy last year? What happened that brought me a lot of sadness? What do I wish I spent more time on? So as you can see, there's no whys here. You're just literally taking time to reflect on yourself and what happened, what situations you found yourself in the last year or even the last month, because I feel like a lot of times January is just warm up. February is really when the new year starts. So just taking time to kind of reflect without judging immediately. So moving on to step 2, that's when you go into your awareness. So this is kind of where you look at why. So awareness is defined as knowledge or perception of a situation. It's when you have some concern about it and you're well informed. So um I guess the best way to explain this is that noticing kind of sets you up for awareness. So it's like the introduction to awareness. So in awareness, you're basically going to make the judgments now based on your reflection, but because you've been able to emotionally regulate, you can you can kind of judge yourself from a place of grace. So instead of like immediately jumping to why did I do that, or like getting into shaming yourself or blaming yourself for not doing things correctly, um, you're just better able to explore your why from a place of security or when you're just regulated. So my pro tip here is that when oh that's a mistake, but when you find yourself becoming dysregulated, you need to take a step back and go back to your state of reflection. So it could be go back to focusing on your breathing. It could be meditation, doing the body scanning, or just doing like the journal prompts. And then I have these pictures here. A lot of times, anything we do is a coping mechanism. So a lot of times when you're not regulated and you jump into your why, especially when you're trying to clear your mind, you're either going to blame others, and you can see all the examples of that. You're going to shame yourself. You're going to either become super controlling. So that's when we see perfectionism, which is definitely common among a lot of us who are very high achieving, or you're going to escape. So that's when you're either like excessively using alcohol or drugs, you're kind of numbing out, zoning out. You might become more irresponsible because it's just easier to escape feeling those feelings. So that's why it's really important, before you jump into awareness, you need to be regulated during your reflection and focus more on your what versus the why. Once you're regulated, you can do the step of awareness to really look at the why. And then on the flip side, once you're regulated, then these are the ways that you can behave. So you're just more nurturing, you're more valuing of yourself, you're balanced in your give and take, and you can stay reliably connected with others. So step 3 would be action. And kind of going back to awareness, actually, when you're asking yourself the whys and you're making those judgments from a place of grace and compassion, that's when you start making steps towards action. So if you were reflecting on the steps you took to move yourself closer to the goals that you wanted to achieve this year, if you have a whole bunch of things that you did that were good, you can make the decision to continue doing those or maximize it. But on the flip side, if you notice that you really weren't taking any steps, then in action, you can ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do? So through your reflection and awareness, you can set realistic expectations for yourself. And my pro tip is always to play into your strengths. So the medical model like pathologizes everything, and that's where the why comes from, and that's why it's so easy for us to get into that, is because from a medical standpoint, there's always like an underlying condition that's bad. But in psychotherapy, we look at things from a strength orientation. So you want to play into your strengths and ask yourself for help, or ask for help when you need it. So examples of actions are literally just like being well resourced. So if you know that you probably can't go throughout your day without caffeine, then you probably should like get your coffee. Or if you know, well, we all need food. So like it's really important to have snacks if you're working a long day, or water, or just keeping yourself resource, using the bathroom when you need to, because if your basic needs are not met, you're not going to be able to get your mind together. So we all need to eat, we all need to sleep. It could be as simple as organization. So if your house is cluttered, it's going to be harder to be more productive. Your mind is going to feel cluttered. And a lot of times your environment is a reflection of what's going on in your head. So it might be time to kind of clean, get ready for spring cleaning, as they say. Or like affirming yourself. If you know you really struggle with negative self-thoughts, then you might need to start doing affirmations. And that's something I can answer questions on later, but just taking or just doing some type of action. So if you're really struggling, let's say you are severely depressed or anxious and you know that, or you have underlying health issues that need to be addressed, you might need to take steps to see a doctor, get medication, or like look into therapy. So it's always, action is different for everyone. So you're going to play into your strengths, but just know sometimes we might need help along the way. And then in all of this, self-care is super important, just because anytime you're trying to restore your mind, it's difficult. So I tell my clients, like in our first session, therapy is really hard and you're probably not going to like me. And it's going to be, in some ways, it can be a painful experience. So anytime you're self-reflecting, it's hard. It's really challenging to kind of face your stuff. So you want to make sure that you're really on top of your self-care. And this is a good way to look at it. There are basically four facets. So you have your physical, which we're going to get to later in this discussion, but you have your physical, emotional, social, and then your mental health. And you can see under each one, there are different categories. So let's say like socially, your self-care is like amazing. You're always outside, always with your friends, but maybe your mental health is not good. So sometimes you might have to pull back on one and say, okay, I'm going to slow down on the going out so I can take time to my mental. Other times you might have to push one more than the other. So it's all about finding the balance, especially when I think most of us or all of us here are very high achieving. We're busy, we're hard workers. And so it's really easy to kind of like get into the habit of checking things off like your list, but then you're not really being present when you're doing it. So just being really intentional and present in your self-care. But my key point for you all is that it's a process. So you're going to find yourself spending a lot of time in some of the steps. Like maybe you might be in reflection for like the next month. And in a lot of ways, that's good. That is helping you to restore your mind. It's just being able to look at your stuff and just see what it is, what's going on for me. You might be in awareness for a long time because awareness is what really pushes you into action. So not rushing your process or being super self-critical. And it's always okay to go back. So maybe you're in action and you're just not able to sustain it. Go back to reflection, go back to awareness. It's always okay to start again. And like I said previously, ask for help if you need it. So these are just some places where you can find me right now. I'm in 2 private practices, Collaborative Solutions and Chosen, in the DFW area. I do in-person and virtual psychotherapy. So I see individuals, couples, families. I work with a wide range of issues. I'm also on Psychology Today and Open Path, and I have a wide range of rates. So because I'm still training, it's great because I can offer therapeutic services for a little bit more affordable than you might get with someone who's not training. So if you're interested, I have my information there. I also have an Instagram where I do a lot of psychoeducation and also just graduate school related content. So I'm gonna drop all my links in the chat. I'm trying to keep it brief because I know we're all busy. So I have a bunch of resources here, in case anybody needs any, and I'm open for questions. Questions about myself, therapy, anything we've talked about today.
Yes, please feel free to ask questions. You can go on mute, and if you're shy, you can put it on the chat and I can ask for you. But
Any questions?
questions. But I can kick it off maybe when I ask somebody who has that. All right, I think one of the scariest thing about therapy is actually getting started, right? Like, okay, how do I get started? Or like if I get started, what does the process look like? And is that gonna be a lot on me, like mentally and like time-wise? So I would
Yeah.
think is the best way to get started with like therapy.
Um, I will say if you've been contemplating on going, you should you probably need to go. So kind of just like facing yourself and confronting yourself with, I probably need to go. A lot of therapists will do like a 15-minute consultation because I think people have this perception that you go to therapy and then it's like the therapist is just like telling you everything's wrong with you, or they're like, you know how we are about gist, like they just want your gist and like your whole life story. But it's a relationship. So you have to find a therapist that you're comfortable with. So I would say if you want to get started, go on like Psychology Today. Or so I can like I'll drop a bunch of links in the chat and just start looking around and reading bios, finding therapists that resonate with you because it's a therapeutic relationship. So if you don't feel comfortable with your therapist or you don't like your therapist, you're not going to be able to do good therapy if you're not able to like build that rapport. It's scary though, it's hard. Therapy is hard, but I think it's worth it in the end. So those like jitters are normal. I'm a therapist that goes to therapy as well, so I can say that I see it both on the client side and as the clinician. So I get.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for that. So Ugochi has a question as well. Ugochi, do you want to come off mute?
Hi, I loved your presentation. So my question was, what techniques would you say someone can adopt, especially in terms of like, being self-aware? Because I know like some people are not like very in tune with like how they're feeling and things. So how do you think people can go about, trying to access like those emotions per se?
Right. So that's where you're going to spend a lot of time in your reflection because you have to. So, reflection and awareness, they're similar, but they're not the same. But to get to self awareness, your reflection skills have to be really good. So, that could be, again, just like focusing on what versus the why. So a lot of times, like my clients, I will tell them to like close their eyes and we'll do like guided imagery, which is just a technique where you focus on your breathing and the sensations. And as you're having these different thoughts come to your head, I'm asking you, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? Describe that to me. And I would say it is kind of hard when you're not in a therapeutic space, which is why I had some of those questions, because a lot of times for people who aren't in therapy, it's easier to just like do the journaling. Um, but journaling gets boring and it can be hard to like keep up. So I would say if you're struggling in reflection, that means that you're not as in tune with your emotions as you think you are. And if you're not in tune with your emotions, or your feelings, your sensations, you're probably going to need a professional to help you get there. So in that case, I would say if you're doing like reflection questions, and it's not working, then you might need like a therapist, or you might need to focus on more of the physiological things. So like doing your breathing, doing meditation, before you can get to being self-aware.
Thank you so much, Bisala. We'll take one last question. And so the question was, what would your 15 minutes consultation look like?
Right. So it's more like a Q&A. You just kind of, I do them in person or telehealth, but it's more just you ask me questions about therapy, like if you've never been, then all types of questions that you've had about therapy, I can answer that. We can talk about what your therapeutic goals might be, kind of like what you're struggling in. And they're always free. So most therapists will do like free 15-minute consultations. And it's just like a Q&A. It's a space for you to ask all the questions you have about scheduling, billing, services, just any question. Even if I might not be the right therapist for you, but even like referrals, the 15-minute consultation is really good for that, like getting you other resources that could be helpful. And then after that, if you choose to continue, then you do like an intake, which is where you really like start therapy and we get more into your history. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bisala. That was really helpful. So we're gonna move to the next segment. We call on Umar to talk about like getting your buddy. Right, physical fitness for the year.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. Um, Let me share my screen also. Let me see. Where do I go to share my screen?
Is that green? Do you see like the green thing with the arrow up?
Information. Okay, yeah, I see it. Um, Desktop. All right, perfect. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, nice. Yeah.
All right, how's everyone doing? My name is Umar Udolaja. Most people know me from my fitness page, I Be Fit, or my fitness brand. It's pretty much like a fitness lifestyle service that's designed to like help people build and maintain active and overall healthy lifestyle. So a little bit about myself. Pretty much all my life, I've pretty much been like active. Like I'll enjoy like sports activities. So I play a lot of basketball, soccer, anything that just stays active. But I didn't really start getting into like fitness necessarily till like after college, which is mainly because I just wanted to change like my physical appearance. I wanted to, at that point in time, I felt like I was pretty skinny. I wanted to see how I can push myself to like, okay, how I can make my physique look better and just feel more confident, um just feel like more confident with yourself. And because that way you don't feel like you feel like you can like achieve what you want and there's nothing like really stopping you if you have that confidence. And that's really what motivated me to like start this fitness journey. So starting off, I wouldn't say I knew much about the gym or in fact or like how to like make these changes. By that time I had a friend that he was pretty well versed in going to the gym and then fitness in general. And so I pretty much just like tagged along with him anytime he was going to the gym, just like, okay, what can I learn from this person while he was working out? How can I improve myself? And then also on my own time, I will make time to go to the gym. So you also have to like dedicate time on your own. So it's like with anything, you have to put in the extra work, which is what I did also. And then just doing your own research of like, okay, you can learn from people, but you also have to like take time to learn for yourself. And that's what I did. And just like learning different things along the way, you figure out what works for you, what works for your body, what helps you see changes. And that's pretty much what has led to this point. So like this was, I would say in 2019. So like fast forward about 4 or 5 years later, and then you see all of that hard work come into fruition. So it's like from there I've been able to successfully like improve my physique to the way I want. I'm not exactly where I want to be, but it's like I can see the changes have happened. I've competed in bodybuilding shows and like placed in these shows. I've also helped clients like reach their physical and lifestyle goals. So this is something that has taken time, but once you put in the time and effort into this, you definitely see those changes that you want. So pretty much what I want to go over today is just um so there are main tips that I've noticed I have learned throughout my fitness journey that helps people just stay fit and then reach these physical goals or like health lifestyle goals or physical goals, and just wanted to share that with y'all today. Um, this switch. Yikes. I'm trying to go to the next slide. I'm coming off of uh I haven't used Zoom on my laptop on this laptop except for work, so having some issues.
You can go off like the, what's it called, the presentation thing, or you can just click like the next button, maybe the side, see if that works, or down.
Yeah, I'm trying to like the mouse. I can't even see the mouse. I'm not sure why. Okay. Oh, I think it was.
All right, yeah, cool. we can see.
Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, technical difficulties. But okay, so all right, so the main tip, so I have 5 main tips that I have learned that helps you stay fit, and help you achieve those physical and lifestyle changes. So the first one is defining what your goal is. Like I said, personally, my goal was I wanted to change my physical. I wanted to get bigger. I felt I was skinny. I wanted to change my physical appearance where it's like, okay, I feel like I'm a decent size where I I look how I want to look personally, like looking from other people, knowing that okay, this is something I can achieve. And then for that, I figured out what exactly I had to do for that. So that's really what's important first for a lot of people because my goal might be different from the other person's goal. So some people might want to lose weight, some people might want to gain muscle, some people just want a lifestyle change. So that's first and foremost is defining what that goal is for yourself. Once you have done that, the next is creating a healthy routine and lifestyle changes. So a healthy routine is, so once you know what that goal is, how are you going to implement things into your day-to-day activity where you can achieve that? So for example, like for me, in terms of working out, like when are you going to work out? For me personally, I go work out in the morning. That might not be suitable for everyone else. Some people might work out during the day, they might go at night, they might only be able to work out 3 times a week. So just figuring out what that healthy routine is of like, when can I dedicate time to go to the gym? When am I going to like go for a walk? When can I go to a run? When can I like go out to like do other physical activities? Like maybe you want to take on boxing, like just stuff that you implement that into your routine that helps you facilitate those changes. And then lifestyle changes is just like everything in life, if you want something, you have to make sacrifices. So here is like what you need to sacrifice in order to achieve those goals. So when I mean lifestyle change, like, okay, maybe you're someone that goes out to eat out every week. That's something that, okay, you realize that you can't do that as much anymore if you want to attain this certain goal. Or maybe you're someone that like, okay, you drink a lot of alcohol. Alcohol is something that prevents you like that consuming a lot of alcohol has a lot of calories and that affects your whatever goal you might have. So just um figuring out what those things that might inhibit you from attaining those goals and just limiting that. So no, I'm not saying you have to cut them out completely, but just understanding what those changes you have to make in your lifestyle and then implementing that. The next one would be implementing a feasible workout plan and meal plan. So I know people have heard that like your meal, like nutrition is extremely important in terms of fitness. And that is absolutely true. You have to, whatever your goals are, you have to figure out what kind of diet I need to be on to help me reach that goal. So for someone like me that was starting off, I knew that okay, if I want to gain weight, I do have to probably increase the amount of calories I eat, increase the number of like my protein intake, and then also, and that's something that you have to consciously implement into your routine. So I'm not saying that, but this is also not saying that you can't eat out, but it's also knowing that you have to make these changes if you want to see these results. And then the next is for like a workout plan. There are various kinds of workout plans. You have strength training, you have high intensity workouts, you have low intensity workouts, you have cardio, you have various kinds of workouts. So pretty much figuring out what type of training will help you get um to that to that goal that you're hoping to achieve. And that's really, so at this point, this is where I notice that most people struggle with because they don't have the education or knowledge in order to put together a well-rounded workout plan or meal plan that can help them attain that goal. And that's really why people go out to get personal trainers, people that know more, that have this the education for this. But yeah, once you get to that point, and that's where you're able to, okay, you have a plan, stick to it, and you just follow that. And then as you keep going, that's what's going to really help you see those changes that you want. Next would be the to track your progress. So like we're human, we always want to like see changes right away. But what I've noticed with fitness, that's not something that happens. So like I don't know if anyone has seen this, like so for the first 4 weeks, you don't see necessarily changes, but if you keep going for the next 8 weeks, the next 3 months, you if you stay consistent to your plan, you see those changes, people notice those changes on you. And so to track our progress, what I usually tell people, or like whenever I start off, is take a picture of like, okay, I want to start training today. Take a picture of how you look on day one, and then just like every week, every 2 weeks, take another picture to just help you track that progress. And that's really why, and that's really what made me start my fitness page. That was really just for me tracking my own progress to see, okay, this is how I started. Let's see how I can, like, how I'm progressing. Let's see the changes in my bench press, my shoulder press, whatever exercise I'm doing, how I can get better in that. And that's really how that started. And now, like, okay, I post consistently, and that's really just how that started for me. I know people are not everyone's going to be comfortable posting themselves on the internet, and like that's perfectly fine, just but it's something that you can have for yourself personally, where it's like, okay, you can see these changes over time, because that's really what would help you see those differences. And then the last step is really just it's being consistent. Like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. You really just have to be consistent with the plan that you have, and just keep at it. Like I've been working consistently for about 4 or 5 years now, and I still feel like I can be better. And so there's no it what I tell people is that you want it to feel like a habit, where it becomes a habit where it's like if you don't do this thing, it becomes weird. So, and that's really where that consistency comes from, because I've done it for so long. I just feel weird if I don't go work out, if I don't do anything active. And that's really what that consistency comes from. Then when you become consistent, you're not even focusing on those like changes anymore. You're just more looking, okay, this is my habit now, let me go do it. And that's really why I tell people, if you want to like see changes in terms of like meeting those fitness goals, and then overall having a healthy lifestyle. Let me see. But so moving on, so these are like services that I do provide currently. So I do have one-on-one training. This is where I so with all of my services, I do make a workout plan for the client, and a meal plan that based on whatever their fitness goal is. And so with a one-on-one training, this will be me going to the gym with you, having guided workout sessions, aiming to help you achieve those fitness goals. So getting comfortable with doing exercises, educating you on what type of exercise you need to do, and just making sure you're doing the exercise with proper form. I do also have online training, where it's more of like building a customized workout and nutrition plan specifically for you to reach those fitness goals. And this is more of you being accountable for going to the gym on your own. So this is where I do have accountability checks with you, but I'm not going to be in the gym personally having you do the exercise, and uh having you do the exercise. And then the next is for people that already go to the gym, already know what they're doing, but just need more like, well, people that already go to the gym but just need help figuring out what exactly they need to do to achieve a specific goal. And so this is where I have a consultation with you to figure out what exactly you're trying to achieve. If you want to lose weight, if you just want to tone up, if you want to build muscle, I'll create a generalized workout and meal plan for you just to help you achieve that. And then I also have accountability checks and check-ins with you. Um, but I think yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I had. And then so I'm gonna drop the link to my website. So typically how I do it is I set up consultations for people. So I'm gonna drop a consultation. It's a free 30-minute consultation, pretty much just getting to know more about you, about what your goals are, and then we set up what your goals are, what your schedule is like, what kind of service you want, if it's a one-on-one online or training program. And then from there, we can set up when we want to start training. But yeah, so yeah, and then my Instagram is abbyfit_pt, and I'll drop the link for both of that in the chat.
Thank you so much, Umar. That was very helpful. I open up to questions. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to come up on mute or put in the chat for me to ask for you.
Is there any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi. How would you say is the best way to build a habit? So personally for myself, and I know this for a lot of people too, I have a tendency to set short-term goals in the gym, and I'll go, and then eventually I'll just trail off and not go again and pay for a monthly gym membership that I never use. So what is your suggestions on building the habit and going to the gym or being physically active more than you normally are?
Yeah, so I'll say, obviously, so like I said, first of all, setting a goal. So like you set a goal. So most times I like setting like realistic, smaller goals. So let's say, starting off, you want to start going to the gym. Set like a goal, okay, at least like once or twice a week, I'll go to the gym. Doesn't matter like if I know what I'm doing or like, I'm like working to a specific plan. At least like you're showing up for yourself. And then the hard part is just making sure you're going. So, and that's what that healthy routine and lifestyle changes. Yeah, like you might go to work and feel tired, but if it's something you want, you have to be able to make that sacrifice. So I'm not going to say it's easy, but it is like when you have a smaller goal and then you're also making that sacrifice, showing up for yourself. And then if you do that a number of times consistently, like they say, it takes 30 days to form a habit. If you're able to do that consistently for about a month or two, you see where it's like you see it become just easy for you to go. Now you don't even think about it. You're planning your day around going to the gym. Okay, now I have to show up. You don't have an excuse. So I'll say it's really just setting that goal for yourself and then um just making that sacrifice to go, like pushing yourself, like have like an accountability partner that's like, oh, did you go to the gym? Have you done this today? Just making sure that you're going. It's not going to be easy, but you just have to make that sacrifice. And then at some point it becomes easier.
Thank you so much, Umar. Is there any last questions? All right, because of time, I know people have Nigerian Cameroon game to watch. We'll go on to the next one, which is perfect transition
Right.
for Shadane.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna keep it short and brief. I know there's a game at 2 and folks are probably busy. So I'll give a quick introduction of myself and then I'll walk you through the 6 steps of balling on a budget. And obviously there'll be things in between that you'll have to maintain, including like your physical health and mainly psychologically preparing yourself to be on some type of budget. But my name is Shadane. I am a Jamaican, if you've ever heard of the term, a Jamaican American who was raised in New York City. And I'm a vice president at Goldman. That's actually where I know Tommy from. And I studied accounting. So I've been in finance for a while. I also studied it. And budgeting is something that I think should be introduced a little earlier in most of our lives, particularly in like primary school and then high school when it's the most relevant. But for whatever reason, in the American school system, it's not. So you learn the harder way as an adult the meaning of budgeting, saving, and investing, usually trial by fire. So the first step personally for me in trying to figure out how I establish a budget is identifying necessary expenses. And I emphasize the necessary because some of our expenses are by choice. So things like therapy sessions, gym memberships, your rent, all of those are necessary to keep you healthy, to keep a roof over your head. Obviously, you need groceries, things like that are reoccurring and necessary. The second step, and I think people normally don't have a hard time doing the first step, right? Like sitting down and figuring out where their expenses are. The second step is identifying how much revenue you have or income you have and when it comes in. So the cadence to which money flows for you. And so you should think about this on like a pay schedule. So if you get paid biweekly or monthly, or if you have an investment that pays out every 6 months, what would that look like for you in terms of your expenses? And the reason why it's important to think about when you're getting paid is because oftentimes, at least for someone who might be like post-grad or considering like furthering their education, we think about how much we have to spend rather than how much we have coming in against the expenses going out. The third step is organizing your expenses around a set schedule. So once folks figure out how much money you get and on what cadence and what reoccurring bills you have, you should try to align your expenses to which in a schedule where you can pay them. So for instance, if you want to pay your bills twice a month on the 1st and the 15th, or if you want to pay all your bills on one day. Most people don't take advantage of this, but if you have a credit card or a car note, typically they allow for you to change the date of the pay schedule. So if you wanted to move it to closer to the end of the month or the beginning of the month, depending on when the payment started, you can better align all your expenses to be paid out so you can look at what you have left. The fourth step is allocating excess funds, which is typically where people struggle the most. So thinking about what you want to do with the money that you have left. Do you want to save it? Which I would recommend something similar to a high yield savings account where you can earn high levels of interest on it while it sits. Or if you're someone who's more of a risk taker, you can try investing it. I know right now what's really popular is sports betting. So if you wanted to take some of your excess money and like bet on sports, just be conscious of the fact that as much as you can win, you can also take some losses. So be comfortable with the idea that in investing, it's not always a guaranteed return, but you're hoping that you will get a return. And depending on how invested you are in the idea of investing, you would do obviously a market analysis and your research so that your return is higher than your potential loss. And things to think about is like Robinhood, TD Ameritrade. There's several other platforms you can use to potentially get into like trading, or like small level stock trading, depending on what your interests are. And then the last part of allocating your excess funds is obviously leisure, so enjoyment. You don't want to just spend your entire life like saving money away or investing your money, but I'm pretty sure everyone on this call is young and lively. You guys want to take trips and shop and maybe gift yourself for experiences or achievements, and you should be able to do that in a healthy way without causing damage to your long-term saving plan or investment plan or your bank account in general. So if you have that reality check every now and then where you look at your account and you're like, ooh, if Apple takes that $5, I'm in trouble, then you know that you need to go back and do steps 1 through 3 again so that you're not in that predicament. And we've all definitely been there at some point where like funds are running low and you just need to reassess where you can increase your revenue, but also pull back on the unnecessary spending. So the fifth step is expanding your income. I like to add without expanding your income while reducing your labor. If you're the type of person who's more hands-on, maybe you don't mind expanding your income while doing something more laborious. For instance, if you get into like investing in real estate and you're actually the one helping to build homes, etc., if that's your cup of tea, you should do it. But for me, I like for my income to be rather passive, where I don't have to do much, but I receive some benefit in the end. And so you can think about like Airbnbs. Some people have great marketing skills or degrees in marketing. Maybe you can start a business and offer it as a service. If you're in the finance world or if you're in the sciences, you can offer tutoring or anything of that nature, just thinking of ways to create passive income with or without additional labor to your maybe day-to-day 9 to 5 or your schooling. And the sixth step is to reassess those goals every 6 months. I say 6 months, but you can do it sooner. The reason why I say 6 months is this, that's usually the timeline that your expenses might change. So think about insurance. If any of you guys have insurance on your vehicles, normally they do an assessment unless you pay it out for the year at the 6-month mark. So you should look at your expenses down the line and see what shifted. Has your rent gone up because maybe you were doing a month to month, or has your car insurance gone up? Or is the rent going up because you shared it with, I don't know, like a roommate and they're not able to pay on time, or whatever the case may be? Just doing an assessment of where your expenses are versus where they were 6 months ago, and then determining where you can make some adjustments. The goal is not always to reduce enjoyment, right? So if you like hanging out with your friends on the weekends and you like taking trips and you like luxury things, you should really look into expanding your income rather than reducing. But if you find that there's areas where you excessively spend, that's where you want to reevaluate. And at this step, when you're reevaluating your expenses, you should determine whether if you need a professional. Okay, as we took a step back and thought about those times where if Apple hit our account with that reoccurring charge, we were going to be in trouble. You should also think about if it's time to maybe get an accountant. If you find yourself in spaces where you make an abundance of money or revenue on your investments, or a financial planner, right? Someone who can help you determine what your goals are and how to hit them a lot faster. I feel like a lot of people are buying homes younger. So if your goal is to buy a house within the next year, where should your saving goals be in order to accomplish it? If it's something that you're interested in. I think that budgeting normally is fairly easy, but a lot of it is psychological. So making sure that you get that right, I think was a perfect way to start this session. Because if you don't evaluate where you are and take some accountability for it, things might not ever change. And if you have some long-term goals, particularly increasing income, because I don't know about y'all, I don't intend to work forever. You have to get on it now to kind of get ahead of the game. In terms of how you guys can reach me, Instagram was in the flyer. I don't offer professional financial services at all, but I can lead you guys in the direction of some professionals who can assist you with your budgeting goals. Obviously, being in banking, I have exposure to it as well, but it also limits the amount of consulting I can do on the side. So I would definitely refer you out to someone else who can help you with your more strategic goals, but happy to connect on some of the things that I listed out in 6 steps if you're interested.
Thank you so much, Shadane. That was very helpful. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, I got a question. Shadi, I would just like to see if you could touch a little bit on like the importance of credit and give a little bit of advice on that realm as well. Just given that it's also that's also a strategy in itself just as much as budgeting. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think as adults, normally that's where we're leveraging credit the most, or where we could leverage credit the most. And it's unfortunate that, again, like we're not taught this a little bit younger, but a lot of people have been exposed to credit by way of negative debt. So like a credit card, for instance, to which maybe you've maxed out, unfortunately, because you didn't know how it worked, or you were in tough times and you needed to rely on it in a stretch. But understanding where you are from a credit standpoint actually sets you up for success in a lot of different ways. Sometimes to increase some of your liabilities. So for instance, if you want to purchase a car or things like that, but also for the benefit of investing. So if you find yourself wanting to buy like an investment property, obviously your credit is considered there. Or a lot of people will leverage their credit for additional funding on credit cards. So if you have a business and you want to take your business to another level, maybe you go and you get a business credit card, and that's where you charge your expenses back. And then you have lines of credit that are bigger than your own expenses, right? So your max expense might be $1,000 personally, but it might be 50 or 30K for your business. So leveraging credit is definitely something that I think is important in budgeting. And in some ways, I think to go about it is to first check your credit score. And there's several means to do so. But you want a full credit report. You want to see what you have against yourself in terms of debt. And maybe there were some things you forgot about, like that cable bill that you didn't pay a couple years back and you thought it would never haunt you, but it's still on there. And there's possibilities for you to get some of those things removed and to refute against them. So just get an assessment of like where you are credit wise, what's on your credit report, and then how you can either improve your score, reduce some of the debt that's logically listed on your credit, or leverage your credit for further purposes like business, etc. But yeah, definitely would recommend doing that at some point, probably at least twice a year. Some people do it a little often, based on what their goals are, or what you have coming up that you want to expend on. But credit is a tough one because I think it's a slow and steady type of pace. Like you might be in a rut right now because of where your credit might be, but it can improve if you're focused on reducing the things that are considered hits on your credit. And then paying some of that down if you have like a large amount of debt even. But there's positive debt that impacts your credit. So if any of you guys have like student loans, etc., no one looks at that negatively, especially if you're in a space where you make a salary that's more than that debt. So if anyone's tried to convince you that it's negative, it's probably not. Definitely situational by the person, but I think that was a really good question, Marley.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shadeen. Thank you so much, Shadeen. All right, so I know we are kind of almost at time, but like I want us to get started on the last like planning. I know feel free to, obviously I would like if you stay, but I know there's a game, so I won't be offended if you jump off or like, but if you can stay for a few minutes, because I want Alice to walk us through how you can plan the year and how you can use some of the tools. I want to actually notice, actually, which I probably make this a bigger section, is like how many people, like honestly, last week, I'm not to put anybody on the spot, I've shown 3 people how to use like ChatGPT and like Bard. And I feel like that's like, like kind of like a big problem in our community. We need to let people start using AI tools more, because there's this big course, like AI will not replace human yet. It's people that are using AI that will replace people that don't. So I want Alice to just come up with like how we can, plan for the year, and maybe how we can use some of like the tools, new tools available like AI, Notion, and Alice, I'll pass it up to you before I steal your shine. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to Non-Exclusive. So in this portion, I'll be talking about setting your yearly goals using Notion AI. So most of us gave up on setting our resolutions because they only have an impact for the first 2 weeks, and for people who are very serious about their goals, maybe 6 weeks. But we know that all the goals that we wish that we could achieve each year, but then we look back at these goals and then we kind of wonder where time went, if the year just flew by, or if life got in the way. The 10 pounds you wanted to lose became 15, your bank account is still on vibes. But hopefully using the system, we can be one step closer to achieving our goals every year, and we don't have to feel like we wasted our year. So let's talk about SMART goals. SMART goals, but this time we're talking about like smarter goals and how we can use Notion to apply it into setting like a 12-week year. So the acronym for SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. When you add the ER, it refers to like evaluating your goals and readjusting. So that's why it's very important that we're using this 12-week format. So the 12-week year was developed by Brian Moran. It's a book. I don't know if any of you have read it. If you haven't, I will highly recommend this book to anyone. So let's start with goals. Goals are the desired outcomes for metrics of interest. So how much money you want to save for retirement, how much weight you want to lose, how many books you want to read for the next couple months. But goals are important because they can help create order from the chaos of all these metrics. They can provide a clear sense of direction, and they can even be motivating or inspiring when certain kinds of goals are set. But most importantly, goals allow us to have a shared alignment and purpose. So over the years, I found Notion to be, if used correctly, the perfect tool for the goal setter. And they have this newly added AI feature, which I'm going to be very happy to walk you through. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we're going to walk through this process very quickly because I know we're already out of time. Okay, so do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. So this is Notion. So obviously the first step in using Notion is to create your account. You're sign in. You can sign in using Google. I usually sign in using Google. And there are 2 options for creating your goals. And one option is to use like a template that already exists. The other option is for you to create like a brand new Notion board from scratch and try to figure out how to put all these goals into place. So obviously, when I'm going to use templates here so I can also drop this link in the chat. So you just come here, you search like 12-week year, and then it gives you the template right there, and you're able to take it to your Notion and duplicate it. It just gives you all the steps. You move it to your Notion and then you duplicate it. When you get there, this is what the board is supposed to look like. And from here, you can think about how you want to put in your goals. So the board looks something like this, which initially is very overwhelming because there's a lot of things here, but it's a very easy way to track. And that's where we talk about the evaluating and readjusting. So once a week, you can come back, look at all the goals that you've put for yourself and say, okay, on Monday, did I prepare a script for next week? Yes. And then you tick it off, and then it maps towards like your total goal, because here you set your frequency frequency. How often do you want to do something? So I'm going to walk you through this board briefly. So first, you have to obviously have your goals. So when you click on goals, it takes you to the page where you have all your goals set right here. So these are all the goals that this board has already preset. But obviously, when you're setting yours, you have to actually do your own goals. So let's go through setting a goal. So first you say, I want to set a new goal. And then it says, okay, what is this goal you want to set? And then you define the goal. Like we said, we want smarter goals. So the goals have to be very specific. So we can say, I want to save $500 this week. And so you then say, okay, what area does this apply to? Is it financial or whatever? So if it's financial, you put it under your financial goals. And then progress, it asks you, how do you want to track this progress? It's either completed or not, but it's related to your task. So these are like, the tasks are the things that you need to do in order to complete these goals. So if you click on tasks there and you don't have any tasks that's related to saving this $500 a week, it takes you then to that page, and then you can write out every task you need to do. Say, okay, if I need to save $500, then maybe I'm not going to buy the $100 sandwich that they sell at Air One this week, and maybe that's going to give me an extra 100. So you have your task for each week. So you can say, so here the tasks are set by week, but you can also set them by goal. You click on your new task. Sorry, I don't know why this is so slow. Okay, anyway, you click on new, and then you just type in the goal, that the task that you want to have related. You say not buy sandwich maybe. Or if it's something else, you can say, I want to maybe pick up an extra shift or something. And then it allows you to also categorize these tasks that you have. So you can then you set a due date for yourself, because having deadlines is very important in order for you to have goals that you can achieve. They're bound by time. So you say, okay, I want it to be due maybe on, so set frequency. Frequency is how often do I want to do this? You can say once a week, every day, every month, something like that. And then let's just let this catch up. Okay. Okay, it's taking some time, but then once you're done setting the goal, you assign it the task, you assign it to your goal. And then once you're done setting that, you assign your due date, and then you go back to your initial board. And then in your board, in your 12-week planner, that goal shows up with all the tasks that you have assigned to it. Now, for each goal, you also can have aspirations. So if you're setting a goal to save $500 because you aspire to buy a house, then next to it, it allows you to set that aspiration of, oh, I want to buy a house, and that is why I'm setting this specific goal. Now, where does the AI portion come in? There's certain goals that we have where we don't really know exactly how we plan to achieve them. It's something like, I want to lose 50 pounds, but I've never been to the gym. Obviously, we've had that session just earlier about fitness, but then you can just come down to the bottom and start something new. Give me a second here. Okay, I think we're on a good steps here. Okay, so in Notion, you're allowed to use, or in Notion, you can use AI for several things. You can use it to basically, you can just ask Notion basically what I want to think about. Let's see, hold on. Let's click on new here. Okay, so I'm having a lot of difficulties getting the system to actually work. So I would send out a guide afterwards to everyone who was a participant with all the information. I also have the actual step-by-step on setting your goals here in Notion, including how to use the AI features. And so I'll also share this link in the chat. So feel free to review this. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. My Instagram is there. Also, be sure to make sure you're evaluating your goals each time. And like I said, Notion is free. But if you have any questions, reach out to me directly and I'll be happy to help you. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much, Alice. Um, yeah, I have a question to start kick it off, but I just think it's very important. I think we're gonna have a different AI session because I really think there's a really need for like different AI tools, probably get different people together. I've just realized there's really demand for it. Like people need to know more about AI. But actually, I want to ask you a question about planning because like, you're like literally one of the best planners I know, honestly. And like, I always struggle with like, okay, setting up time to actually plan because I feel like actually setting up time to plan is actually like planning as well. It just takes a lot. Like, what cadence do you have? I actually want to know, like, not just like the advice, but like, how do you set your own goals? Because I know you're perfect at this. Do you do it like weekly, monthly, or like, how do you actually do it? Like, set up time to put it in the system, track it. Like, what is the cadence you do it?
So there isn't any specific required frequency for setting goals or trying to plan your day. But I personally, I think for me, the answer is it depends because I also use another system called Structured to plan my daily goals. So if I wake up in a particular day and I have like 1 million things to do, I feel like we get very overwhelmed when we have too many things in mind. And so writing them down and trying to understand when things happen help us better plan, because if you get too overwhelmed, then you just sit and not do anything. The day has gone by and all your tasks have gone. So the best thing to do is kind of determine how busy you are and if you actually need a plan to get through your day. And that could be daily. Now for your like yearly goals or like your 12-week goals, that you just have to do an evaluation. You have to make time for yourself, because the same way you make time for your company, you make time for yourself. You kind of have to operate like you're a business and you want your business to be successful. And for this business to be successful, you basically want to plan in this business, invest time into it, and allow yourself to grow it. Just get into the habit of sitting down and realizing these are all the things I need to do. This is how I need to achieve it, and this is what I'm going to do to get there. And after a while, you just get used to it. You don't really need to set apart like an entire 1 week or something. It literally would take you a couple hours in a day, and you've planned your next 12 weeks, or you've planned your whole day in a couple minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. All right. If not, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to the panelists, Bisola, Omar, Alice, and Shadane. So thank you so much. Really means a lot. Thank you all for showing up. It really means a lot to me as well. I hope you got some value from this, at least a starting point. And at least you get the connections of people to go to. And I think that's the point of non-exclusive, like just people you can go to and it can be organic. And I also like your feedback on like goals you're trying to work on, putting in this Notion. Is there like some things you want us to focus some of these sessions on and, dig deep into? So I really appreciate your feedback, and I appreciate your feedback on, things we should move, like we should focus on that can help us as a community or to help you personally. Thank you so much for coming. It really means a lot to us. I hope you follow us on our Instagram page, not_X_CLUSIVE, not_exclusive. So hope to see you on the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.